5 cops in Oklahoma City charged with first-degree manslaughter over the shooting death of a 15-year-old kid who was committing armed robbery but put down the gun. Welcome to Hide and Seek Media. Five police officers in Oklahoma City have been charged with first-degree manslaughter over the shooting death of 15-year-old Stavian Rodriguez. I hope I get his name right. It's kind of hard to read and pronounce, but I'm pretty sure it is. Stavian Rodriguez. So, from everything I've read and from the video that was released that I saw, I can't say that the cops were justified in killing this kid, but I can say in that moment, I don't know what I would have done, because I don't know if he's reaching for another gun or something more nefarious. You know, I mean, he could have all kinds of things. You don't know what he has back there, right? And so, in that moment, in that split second, you have to make a decision. There was a police officer who did shoot a non-lethal round, and that's what should have happened in this instance. Okay? And it's I don't know. It's a slippery slope, right? Because I've heard arguments from both sides, but when the kid put down his gun, okay, at that moment, hands up, guns on the ground, you lay down. If you've already given up, okay, then you lay down. There's no need to pull your phone out of your pocket. There's no need to pull your keys or your wallet or anything else out of your pockets. Once those police officers see that you have a firearm, they don't know at that moment. They don't know what other weapons you may have on you. And so any sudden movements, they are trained to deem as a threat and to shoot. And I believe that training is bad. Okay? But I can't argue against it because I'm not a cop. I don't put my life on the line every day, and I don't deal with crazy situations like that on a daily. Okay, so I'm not judging the police officers here, but I do have a few ideas on what we could do to fix that. And if you have any ideas, make sure to drop them in the comments, and I'll try to read as many as I can and comment back on them. But we'll get to my ideas on how we fix this here in a little bit. 13 shots, okay? That is excessive. 5 police officers, 13 shots. That means at least all of them shot 2 rounds. And 3 of them shot 3. Okay? That is excessive. When there is that many police officers, 1 or 2 officers firing their weapon is all that's needed. But when you have 5 cops fire their guns at 1 person, that is police officers itching to squeeze the trigger. And I don't know these cops, and I can't say that for 100% certainty, but that's what I see. I see cops itching to squeeze the trigger in the line of duty for whatever reason. All right? They have that power complex. I don't know what it is, okay? But that's what I see. One of those cops fired a non-lethal round. All of those cops should have fired non-lethal rounds. Okay? That should have been the instinct of all of those police officers entering that situation. Okay? There are multiple police officers there and one offender. There's no reason why they should have all feared for their lives in that moment. One or two, when you're a police officer, you expect that there could be a time when you get shot and possibly even lose your life. You expect it, you accept it every day that you strap on that badge. Okay? So, when there are multiple police officers there and there are safety in numbers, there should be no reason for 5 police officers to fire and strike one assailant 13 times. The only reason I could deem that to be non-excessive, as if that person was hyped up on some kind of crazy drug or whatever and just would not stop coming. Okay? But that's not the case here. This boy was 15 years old. Alright? So what they did was definitely excessive. Alright? But these cops, I don't know. I really believe that some of them were just itching to shoot, to fire their weapon in the line of duty. You don't all say, I was doing it to protect my brother. Because so were they. And if they were firing, there's no need for you to fire. Even if you fired once, there should be no need for you to fire any more rounds than that. This boy was shot 13 times. At the most. With 5 police officers shooting lethal rounds, that boy should have been struck by 5 bullets. That's it. That's it. But, again, I can kind of see the police officer's point of view because in the heat of the moment, I don't know what he's going to pull out from behind his back pocket. He's 15 years old, but who knows where this kid has come from, or who he knows, or who his relatives are, or what he's gotten his hands on, right? I mean, you never really know as a police officer, and you're trying to go home to your loved ones, and I get that. I 100% respect it, and I get it, right? But there has to be a line that we draw that says, okay, we can't allow this, right? We can't allow a 15-year-old boy who was reaching in the back after he put down a gun, mind you, okay? So I'm not saying that the cops were right in this moment, okay? But what I am saying is that he's 15 years old. He should have known better than to reach it to his pocket after putting down a firearm in front of multiple police officers when they have their guns pointed at you. Okay? So, am I saying he's to blame? No. Because I'm not a person who's going to blame the victim here. Okay? But, could the victim have prevented this from happening? Yes. Okay? I will say that. Could the police officers prevented this from happening? Yes. I will say that as well. Again, being in the police officer's shoes, I don't know what he has in his pocket. And I'm trying to go home to see my wife and kids. So, how do you make that decision, right? How do you decide that your life is more important than this kid's life? Or that your partner's life is more important than this kid's life? And that your partner's kids are more important than this kid's parents, right? Because those are all decisions that you're making in that split second. When you decide to pull that trigger, you're making that decision that your life is more valuable than theirs. Okay? That your partner's life is more valuable than theirs. That's kind of a hard decision to make. It's a very hard decision to make. A very hard decision to make. And I don't know that I would want to be in that situation, to be honest with you. If I were in that situation, I'm protecting my life. Okay, I'm sorry. But if you've put yourself in a position to make me make that decision or make me choose between your life and mine, I'm choosing my life every time. If it's, a matter of you trying to take me out or me trying to take you out, I'm going to choose my life every time. I think the cops were too excessive. 13 shots is too excessive. But in the end, what we really need is better training. All right? Now, right? That's what needs to be better here in this situation. And it needs to go, and I know this is going to sound like some people are going to be like, oh, well, you're just trying to make it trying to make the police more militarized. Sorry, there it is. You're trying to make the police more militarized than it already is. And it's like, okay, wait a minute. Okay, but you have to look at how the military functions in its capacity and compare the two. All right, so like guys in special forces and special operations, right? They train all the time, and it's high intense training because they have to be the best. So they have to be quick to react, but to react the right way. And the only way to do that is to train. Is to train your body and to train your mind to know that in this situation, I have to do this. In this situation, I have to do that. In this situation, I have to do this. When I hear this, I do that. When I see this, I do that. Right? Constant, repetitive training is how you make police officers better. But here's the problem. They don't do that now. They go to their course or they go to the little academy or whatever, and then once you graduate the academy, you're given a badge, a gun, a car. Here you go, a training officer, and off you go, right? Learn on the streets. Well, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, because we end up with situations like this, where you have 5 police officers going to jail, and possibly for the rest of their lives, because they weren't given the proper training to begin with, right? I think that's sad. That's sad. Look at Derek Chauvin and what's going on with George Floyd in that case, right? If they had proper training on how to handle that situation, right, and had trained regularly, right, for those situations, then maybe, just maybe, that wouldn't have happened, and we wouldn't have sparked off, the summer of riots that we had in 2020. But in the end, I think more training, right? More regular training needs to happen. So police officers need to qualify. I would say they need to qualify every 6 months with their firearm. Okay, they need to qualify every 3 months in a different training course of some kind. So every 3 months, police officers have to go spend a week, or a couple of days in some kind of training course that focuses on, domestic violence and, disturbances or whatever. And then another course on, we do this in the industry that I'm in. We constantly have to do these monthly trainings on stupid crap over and over and over again every year. And it's ridiculous. But you know what? The cops should have the same thing. I don't know if they do or don't, but I think that these training programs need to be implemented and need to be rigorous. That they learn from them, so that when they get into a situation like this, okay, they don't shoot the kid 13 times. All right. Now, another thing I would suggest, and this is something that I would suggest to all local police departments, at the city and town and lower levels like that. I would recommend maybe possibly doing the first 2 rounds of your service, your first service magazine. The first 2 rounds are rubber or non-lethal of some kind, right? So that when you have to draw your firearm, you've at least given the perpetrator, right? If you have to fire your sidearm, if you have to fire your weapon, right? Then the first 2 rounds are going to be non-lethal. So you've given the perpetrator the opportunity to stop whatever they're doing right then and there. If they have a firearm themselves, well then two rubber rounds are definitely going to slow them down from aiming that firearm at you and give you enough time to put hot lead downrange, right? But you have to qualify with your weapon regularly so that you can make those rounds land every time, right? So that the 2 non-lethal rounds hit first, and you give the perpetrator an opportunity to surrender without losing his life. Because what comes next is death. And I think that would stop a lot of police shootings that end in homicide or that end in the perpetrator dying, right? If you shot the guy one time with a rubber round and he continues to do whatever he does, or he decides to point that gun at you again, well, 2 more rounds, 1 more rubber, 1 more, lead is going to stop him cold. Okay? But you've given him the opportunity to surrender, right? To give up. So I would say 2 rounds, 2 non-lethal rounds, in every magazine of every officer who walks and rides a beat. All in all, there needs to be better training, and in this case, I think the cops were excessive. I don't think first-degree manslaughter is the right charge, but I do think they do need to be fired off. They do need to lose their jobs. Okay, they do need to. I mean, it's unfortunate, but they do need to lose their jobs. They do need to pay some sort of price for this, as far as restitution to the to the city, to the state, to the family, by either time in jail or whatever. But I don't think they should serve life in jail. Definitely not. But I do think it was excessive, and I do think police officers need better, more standardized training. So that's my thoughts on this. If you've made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. I appreciate everything you guys are doing. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you get notified anytime I drop a new video. Drop a comment down below. Let me know how I'm doing on this video. Share this video, and make sure to like this video. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll catch y'all later. Peace.